1 through 10, I scored a 3, so it's jail again. Thought police said my crying's rough. These tears are counterfeit. Lock him up, boys. He ain't sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. We'll find you for dry eyes. Thought crime, cry time. State approved tears and you'll do hard times. Cry louder, cry rough. Put some mucus in it, never enough. Never sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. Not sad enough.
Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. A little twist on the opening of the program tonight as cancel culture continues to spread, controversy, the United States, the whole world, really, a powder keg because of the tragic, horrific killing of Charlie Kirk, and that entire event highly politicized, and it's deepened division, certainly in the United States and elsewhere, certainly seeing it here in Canada as well. And that will be the focus of our broadcast tonight again here on Maverick News as they continue their preparations for tomorrow's massive Charlie Kirk Memorial in Glendale, Arizona. Over 100,000 people expected to attend, and the controversy swirling around that is resulting in skirmishes, scuffles, protests, arrests. I think there was even one, maybe two people, at least one person arrested who was armed in Arizona, I believe, today. So we'll dig into that as well when we come back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, so the preparations continue tonight for the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Just checking to see what the latest is on that. I know that they're expecting about 100,000 people. Final preparations underway. This is in Glendale, Arizona. Let's pick this up here. Let's dip into this just right off the top and see what they're saying over here. Here we go. Mainstream media.
Underway in Arizona for the memorial for conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed last week at Utah Valley University. NBC's Dana Griffin is on the campus where students, staff, and community members gathered for a unity vigil last night. Dana, good morning.
Laura, good morning to you. Yeah, thousands of UVU students and Charlie Kirk supporters gathered here last night to pay respects, but also to focus on healing and unity as they paid their respects. Now, many students were still struggling to process what they witnessed, and themes of forgiveness and understanding were addressed by speakers, including the UVU student body president.
When you're running for your life, scared, and not knowing what's going to happen, those differences between us that used to seem so big turn into something so small.
Attention now turns from Utah to Arizona, where Charlie Kirk's memorial will be held tomorrow. Tickets are open to the public, but will be first come, first serve, and attendees will face a massive security presence there due to the sheer volume of high-profile attendees. Confirmed speakers include Vice President J.D. Vance, Kirk's widow Erica Kirk, and President Donald Trump, along with other members of his administration. On Friday, the U.S. House passed a resolution condemning Kirk's assassination and praising him as a, quote, courageous American patriot. But some critics oppose the resolution, citing Kirk's controversial statements on women's rights, LGBTQ issues, and the Civil Rights Act. Now, there is a new warning this morning from the Glendale prosecutor, the top prosecutor there, saying anyone who plans to come there and protest to do so peacefully, or you will be prosecuted. Laura?
Dana, we're also getting more information now about the background of that 22-year-old suspected shooter. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Tyler Robinson remains behind bars this morning. He is awaiting his next court appearance. Prosecutors there are seeking the death penalty. But new this morning, NBC News is learning that federal officials have yet to find a link between Robinson and any left-wing groups. That is according to three sources familiar with the investigation. And that is also despite the president saying multiple times that there is some sort of connection. Laura?
All right, Dana Griffin, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so big developments there. And Trump also saying that he is going to designate Antifa a terrorist organization. There's a word that keeps surfacing. It's being thrown around, I would say carelessly in many cases. It's being used without really being defined. And Trump is saying Antifa will be designated a terrorist organization. It's becoming a topic of conversation. I think we will be digging into that more in the days ahead. But back to what's going on in Arizona, as I mentioned, U.S. authorities arrested an armed elderly man, apparently after he injured a pro-Israel and Trump-supporting activist. No, I'm sorry. This is not the clip that I'm looking for. Hang on a second here. This is an armed man charged with posing as law enforcement, after being detained. Scratch what I was reading to you. That was a false piece of information that's coming in. So disregard that. An armed man has been charged with posing as law enforcement after being detained at the site of Charlie Kirk's Memorial. The man has been identified by Arizona Department of Public Safety as Joshua Runkles, 42 years old. He entered State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. And this was Friday and was exhibiting suspicious behavior. The spokesperson added that the man was posing as law enforcement and was armed. Quote, the individual is not a member of authorized law enforcement working the event and is currently in custody. The spokesperson said the U.S. Secret Service and local law enforcement are investigating the circumstances as to why he was at the location. Runkles has been charged with impersonating a law enforcement officer and carrying a weapon into a prohibited place. He was released on bond from Maricopa County Jail, the department added, and could not immediately be reached for comment, according to this. So who is this Runkles guy? And they let him go. They say that they don't believe the person was attempting anything nefarious. However, the advance was not done in proper coordination with the Turning Point USA security team or U.S. Secret Service. And also important to note that this was before the site had been fully sealed and locked down. And I'm getting some of this from NBC. That's why they're saying that this information is that he wasn't immediately available for comment, because this piece is coming from NBC, not just from law enforcement. So that's, I guess, somewhat concerning. We do have, as I said earlier, a real powder keg on our hands with deep, deep division and concerns. I believe Ben Shapiro has canceled all of his public appearances. We're seeing now tonight that ex-Smiths frontman Morrissey has canceled shows in Boston, Connecticut, due to what's being described as a credible threat. Says here in a statement, due to recent events and out of an abundance of caution for the safety of both the artist and band, the upcoming shows this weekend at Foxwoods and MGM have been canceled. So the division continues and deepens. And here's CBS just checking in over there to see if they have anything other than what we've already reported on this man being arrested. Armed man arrested outside the site of Charlie Kirk Memorial in Arizona. Man told Secret Service agents he was a member of law enforcement, so same information. And this information, while he was arrested yesterday, information really just coming out fresh right now. Some of the most recent updates on this story posted even just minutes ago. And so this song that from Maverick and the News Brothers that we opened the program with tonight, Not Sad Enough, that's because, we're going through a period of Maga induced cancel culture and pressure from the conservative side for everyone to fall into line and join in the mourning. I mean, mourning, mourning, like grieving. I've noticed that some conservative influencers are kind of pushing back. Candace Owens, I would say she's kind of gone a little bit nutty in the last couple of years, but she's pushing back, and she says she's not going to the memorial tomorrow. But many, many others are. as I say, about 100,000 people. They're selling tickets to the memorial. Highly politicized, but it is deepening division. It is resulting in all kinds of conflict. Look at this. This is a school board meeting in Maine. Everything went off the rails when a board member slaps a phone out of a man who's attending. They got into a heated exchange over this whole Charlie Kirk issue. A teacher has been placed on leave there over comments about the killing of Charlie Kirk. And the man is there saying, I demand counseling for the kids who were hurt by Charlie Kirk's death. That the teacher dissed. This man's name is Tim Bodnar. He says he can have free speech, but the teacher can't have free speech on the taxpayer dime. I'm going to run this clip, show you what happened. It just illustrates how emotional this all is.
Is that what it says? And I demand their firing. I demand their immediate firing. Because your lack of action, when this has been brought to your attention, that someone wished the death upon others, and you're okay with this, and there are people that are upset about this, and you couldn't give a crap about it. That's what this says to people. And my tone of voice is not yours to monitor, ma'am. How many decibels I speak, you cannot ask me to leave. I will not play by your rules. I will not be silenced by you anymore. Okay? This LGBTQAI plus nonsense and people wishing death on us, the Christians. And you know what? This is what a guy named Destiny said. He said those people are so dangerous. Their ideology is so backwards, so primitive, so hateful that we have absolutely no choice but to kill them first. Because they are a threat to us. And you're pumping that shit into kids' heads. Your teachers are pumping that shit into kids' heads. And I demand it stop. I demand counseling for the kids that were hurt by Charlie Kirk's death that he dissed. He can have free speech, he just can't have a job on taxpayer money. You need to check yourself and correct yourself and get rid of him. It is the will of the people. And we are done with you with your rules. She won't even look at me. You're a foul and evil woman. You're a coward. Hey. Why don't you look at me? Hey! You want to talk to me?
That woman. Don't you insult that woman.
Why not?
Because she's doing the best she can. And you don't know what we think.
She's not doing the best she can.
You don't know what we think. We haven't even made a decision yet.
You should have made a decision when you found out. When did you know? When did you know?
On Friday, we're taking it, we're doing the best we can.
You're too slow. The world is moving on way too fast for you, old man. I'm serious.
We are in recess.
Can I have
There's 3 or 4 more public comment slots
all
left.
of those in favor of adjournment, please signify.
Is that what it says? Hands up. He needs to go. No.
It's getting dangerous. You know, I think back to Trump 1.0. And I remember the Antifa protests. We still see some of those. And I've said that Antifa acts like fascists because they get out and they have been violent. It's not cool. No, I see some bad things happening on both sides. Because I'm trying to be honest and genuine here. But I remember Trump 1.0, and I remember Ricky Rebel. Not me. The pop star guy, Ricky Rebel. Do you remember Ricky Rebel? He did the MAGA version of YMCA, not the Village People thing. He did his own. Anyway, I was like, he's like very gay, and has been a huge Trump supporter, MAGA supporter. This is the thing that's always kind of perplexed me. And you saw it in full bloom in that scuffle and that man's speech from the podium. The Christian right, they don't like transgender people, they don't like gay people. They'll say, and I would say some people are tolerant, but they don't like gay people. And there's this strange mix. Ricky Rebel went out of his way. Like, I don't know if he did it so much to sing that song for himself or to just capitalize on the MAGA wave that he was riding at the time, and still sort of does. But it's a weird dynamic, a weird fit. It doesn't feel like it fits. You see all these people, they're turning this whole thing with Charlie Kirk, a lot of people, into an anti-LGBTQS plus thing. They're turning it into an anti-gay thing. You know darn well that that's what a lot of this is about. And especially transgender thing. So I thought, well, I'm going to go and look to see what is going on with Ricky Rebel. What has Ricky Rebel said? I haven't heard from the guy in quite a while. So I thought, well, let's just look up Ricky Rebel. Do I have it here? Here we go. Okay, so here's the Google search that I did. I just punched in Ricky Rebel Charlie Kirk. This is a very, very gay performer who has been a huge Trump supporter, but I haven't heard from him in a while. And he says, Ricky, he was a good man. The violence needs to stop. So I thought that's interesting, appropriate, I would say, to say something like that. Some new videos from him. And that's about it. So I did try to go to the Facebook page. What happens? The content isn't available. So something weird is going on there. I don't know if it was taken down, but I can't see that post. It's in Google, so he said it, but can't find the post. So I was able to go to his Facebook account. And here's what Ricky Rebel, you'll recognize him, I think, when I show you his Facebook page. Here's the Ricky Rebel Facebook page. Ricky Rebel, 397,000 followers. Straight Talk on Weddings with Ricky Rebel and Dr. Marissa, whoever that is. And this is not, I wouldn't say this is your typical MAGA supporter. But there he is. This is, I think, an illustration of why the populist movement is somewhat dysfunctional. It also makes me think back to Freedom Convoy. Remember our friend Barry Thongman? Thongman? Do you remember Barry Thongman? I always wondered, why is Thongman hanging out with a lot of the folks here? And everybody seemed pretty tolerant back then. But now, much less so. I don't hear from Barry Thong Man anymore. Haven't heard from him in a long time. Haven't seen anything from him. Haven't seen any posts from him in a long time. I don't know if anybody else hears from Barry. Very nice fellow. He was on the program a few times. Very dedicated to the whole freedom movement, but I'm not sure he fits in right now with all the anti-transgender rhetoric that is surrounding the Charlie Kirk thing, and a lot of people want to go to war over this stuff. And there is the truth too. It scares me. It really does. This is what Ricky Rebel was doing 5 years ago when he performed the Maga YMCA. He was surrounded by BLM, Antifa, and police. What a weird scene. You see, I remember, I won't tell you which relative, but this relative that I have was kind of very anti-Trump at the time. And I remember sending, no, I don't think it was this one. It might have been, but I know it wasn't this one, because it was a very happy version of the Ricky Rebel MAGA YMCA thing.
Yeah! Everybody let's dance! MAGA! Everybody let's dance!
Oops, there we go.
Just like...
So he's, I'm going to pull that down so we don't get a copyright strike. There's Ricky Rebel, and he gets surrounded by Antifa. Cops have to come in. BLM comes in. So here's this very progressive entertainer. He's got a long history in the music business, actually. I mean, he's been fairly successful, kind of going solo now. It's just weird. So I just thought I'd check in and see what Ricky Rebel is saying, but he's not posting much about it that I can see about the Charlie Kirk stuff. And he doesn't appear to be like really focused much on the MAGA movement at this point anymore. So things seem to have shifted there too. Maybe I'm missing something. I just don't know. But that's what makes MAGA sort of dysfunctional. I wonder if the people like Ricky Rebel who supported Trump and MAGA before really saw where all this was going to go, you know? Okay, my computer's freezing up a little bit here, so I'm going to take a little bit of a break. We'll come back so I can smooth things out and maybe just deliver a little bit more focused commentary just while I'm not wrestling with the computer so much. Stay with me.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
So yeah, I remember sending that video of Ricky Rebel to this relative and saying, you see, Trump's not so bad. Trump's very tolerant. Like it is like there's a place for everybody under the Maga tent. He's not the boogeyman everybody thinks. Well, things have changed a bit since then. Yeah, there's just a lot of division there. That's why I just brought it up. And now there's as Trump, and don't forget, YMCA has been the theme song for the whole Trump, like not the theme song, well, kind of used at all the rallies from the beginning and even till now. Performed by the Village People, it's kind of a gay anthem. Some even members of the Village People might deny that, but it is, and the gay community has embraced it as such. So whether people like it or not, it's a gay anthem, and Trump rocks to that at his rallies. And it's this whole, I mean, I think back to the Reagan era and the Meese Commission, and it's just the conservative Christian side has always been, like anti-gay, anti-sex, anti-porn, progressive. Now we're seeing it taken to a whole new level because really, as I've been saying for quite a while, there is this convergence happening. We are seeing the MAGA movement aligning with the traditionalists, the Duginists in Russia. Dugin predicting that MAGA will be on side with Russia and allied as we get this war against liberalism unfolding. And I've told you that's what's happening here. It's a war on liberalism. That's what I'm seeing just within the last few days, really ramped up, and exactly that rhetoric too. Liberals and crazy leftists, left-wing lunatics, and the word terrorist being thrown around like crazy, which I find very concerning because they're using it against Venezuela. They're using it against Canada. They're using it against their own people in the United States. I'm seeing influencers on programs like American Journal. I was watching that, which is sort of an Alex Jones, in the Alex Jones family of productions, right? And they're just describing the leftists as terrorists. As a result of all that, we're also seeing now that Trump wants to designate Antifa as a left-wing terrorist organization domestically, which means that they can do whatever they want. And I don't even know exactly what Antifa is. I'm not saying it doesn't, like they were kind of hiding behind this crazy language of like Antifa isn't even a real thing, but it is a real thing. It's just loosely organized. The problem here is that as they just say that Antifa is a terrorist organization, they can just point their fingers at any person on the left and say, you're Antifa, therefore you're a terrorist, and they can do whatever they want to you. No more rights. Be very careful about this one. This one has me a little bit worried. I'm no Antifa fan. I don't like their tactics. For me, they're just basically the street enforcers for the left side of the political spectrum. I've called them fascists in themselves. I'm not sure that's been a really accurate way to describe them, but they act like a bunch of brown shirts. It's just that they're on the left. They're the enforcers for the left. And I don't like the tactics. Never have. Don't like them. Very distasteful. But you start designating a loosely knit organization like that terrorists, and they can start doing just about anything they want to. Look at, the left has been doing that to the conservative side. They were doing it to groups on the conservative side. I think in some cases justifiably so, in other cases not. There's been a lot of overreach there. And I think it's probably the same going back the other way. We'll have to see how it plays out. And I just don't know where it's all going. I do know that if I can find the NTCT news release on this, here, it's right here. news release from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. This was sent to me overnight, I think. Anyway, here it is here. I found it. And I'll show you. It's not so much directed just at Antifa, but right here, NCTC, the National Counterterrorism Center, recently disseminated an unclassified intelligence product to law enforcement partners as a media release aimed at protecting Americans against the threat of al-Qaeda left over by the Biden administration. The NCTC product provides local, state, federal, and international partners with the tools needed to combat targeting attempts by al-Qaeda and better protect the American people. It also serves as a public service announcement for Americans who may be at potential risk of targeting by al-Qaeda. And under President Trump's leadership, NCTC is working across agencies to watch list, screen, vet, and pass information to combat all potential threats to the American people and best protect the safety, security, and freedom of our nation. While the potential for heightened threat environments may arise as political and international climates shift, NCTC's recent product serves as evidence that the partnership between our intelligence community and law enforcement has never been stronger. President Trump's policies have ensured that America is more prepared than ever to respond to and address any threat directly, rapidly, and with strategic coordination. It goes on. What's going on here is they're finding justification to crack down domestically on freedom. Is it justified? Are they using this phrase terrorist too loosely? Probably, so that they can engage in government overreach. It's interesting to me that while the Biden administration was accused of doing these very things, and to some degree they were, when I think back, when did we lose most of our freedoms? When was it at its worst? When Trump was in office. The lockdowns, the mandates, all of that stuff, when Trump was in office. Then we got Biden. Things, seem to be kind of getting back to closer to something almost normal, but there were still a lot of problems. Now Trump's back in, and look at the world. And look at what's going on with government overreach. Look at what's going on with crackdowns and surveillance, and it's off the charts. And the country is more deeply divided than ever before. Very concerned about it, man. And now they're talking of, using this word terrorist. When did we hear that? After 9/11. Then they set up the whole Department of Homeland Security, and we became, very surveilled after that. Now with this whole Charlie Kirk thing, it almost feels like they were ready for it. I'm not saying that, I don't want to engage in the conspiracy theory that this was like a planned thing, but they seem to like have all the things ready to go. Whether they knew it was going to be him or somebody else, I guess maybe just prepared in the event of something happening, and it happened, and maybe they just have responded very quickly. But man, they are capitalizing on this Charlie Kirk death in a political way like I've never seen before. It is off the charts, crazy, worldwide, global, sparking protests in the streets everywhere. And of course, we've seen cancel culture spread with people losing their jobs. We saw that charliesmurderers.com website, which has been up. I'm not sure if it still is, but about 60,000 names on there, doxing people, targeting them to have them lose their jobs because of things they've said about Charlie Kirk that were not, I guess, sad enough, not sad enough, or in some cases outright gross and inappropriate. Nevertheless, if you want free speech, I don't know if you throw people in jail for saying stuff like that. Pretty gross. Don't agree with it. People say it. I'm not sure that Jimmy Kimmel deserved to get canceled for what he said. I think maybe he spoke a little bit out of turn and without all the information necessary because the investigation was barely underway. And he was saying, the left is just trying to show that he's something other than one of them or something. I'm paraphrasing. But of course, canceling him, that has set off, some pushback from the other side, but not just from the other side. We're seeing divisions within the Republicans because it is a serious issue. Censorship, the threat of broadcast to two broadcasters from the FCC, chairman, Federal Communications Commission, of possibly losing broadcast licenses if they don't get rid of Jimmy Kimmel or other people like him. And so they canned him. Ted Cruz. I mean, there's a pretty conservative. There he is. He's not happy about it. He says it's, unbelievably dangerous. Those are the words that he's been using. Ted Cruz rips FCC chair's Jimmy Kimmel threat as unbelievably dangerous. Right there. Oh, there it is over on NBC again. That's the link. Okay. Didn't realize that, but yeah. Here, I'll show you. I'm sure that I wasn't here yesterday, so I'm playing a bit of catch up here. So forgive me if I'm a little behind the curve with you on this one, but it's still worth reviewing because it ties into everything else we're talking about here. Senator Ted Cruz blasted Federal Communications Commission Chair Brendan Carr Friday for threats he made this week related to Jimmy Kimmel's show, calling the Trump administration's officials' actions dangerous as hell. He says, I think it is unbelievably dangerous for government to put itself in the position of saying we're going to decide what speech we like and what we don't, and we're going to threaten to take you off air if we don't like what you're saying, Cruz said on his podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz. He went on to say, I like Brendan Carr. He's a good guy. He's the chairman of the FCC. I work closely with him. But what he said there is dangerous as hell. It might feel good right now to threaten Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, but when it is used to silence every conservative in America, we will regret it. Because what goes around comes around, especially in politics. If you are able to keep your republic and your constitutional republic, if you're able to keep a free society, keep their version of democracy. Some will say it's not a democracy, but it is sort of still a democracy. People get to vote. So if you can keep it, then you won't be in power all the time. So you better make sure you govern accordingly, lest you be targeted later. And we've seen that. That's also what's going on here right now. Elon Musk, Doge, the Department of Getting Even, purging. But that isn't even just about getting even. That is taking control of government institutions. That's also what this thing with the FCC is about. That is about control of media. I've said many times before, because this is something I was taught very, very young, even as a child, something that really stuck in my brain. What's the first thing you do when you take over a country? In war or in using any other means. When you take over a country, what's the first thing you do? You take over the radio stations and television stations. Take over the media. Well, these days, if you want to take over a country, you take over the media. You use the media to take over the country because you engage in information warfare. And it's not just television stations, radio stations, newspapers, legacy media, it's the internet. And if you control the internet, you have a very, very sophisticated and unprecedentedly powerful weapon at your disposal in order to effect change, including regime change. Take note, because we are under attack. Of that, I am sure. I wonder if Ricky Rebel thought of any of that when he first hitched his wagon to the Maga train. Oh yeah, you don't think he's flamboyant? Like this is MAGA. This is an arm of MAGA, or maybe not the arm, maybe it's other body parts. Viewer discretion advised. There's Ricky Rebel on his X account. He's got an OnlyFans. Just saying. I'm not so sure that Ricky Rebel would be welcomed into, like, say, that school board meeting by that guy. Well, the other people there might, but the guy speaking wouldn't. You know what I'm getting at. It's pretty nasty out there. And yeah, I'm talking about this convergence. I'm talking about this shift in alliance. Trump is aligning himself with countries that embrace this whole traditional values thing, right? Russia, Hungary, and you'll see, and I think it's what you see. He's always going on about China. I'm not so sure that he really wants to go after China in the way that he's telling everyone. But we are seeing, just within the last few days as well, that Trump has been signaling that he might even pull military support for the Baltic states around Russia. Even as we're seeing drones and Russian fighter jets violate NATO airspace. And Trump doesn't seem concerned about it in the things that he's saying. And all of this, if you really look at what his focus, he says that the reason they're potentially, and I think they will, pull back on support for Baltic states militarily, even through NATO, is because they have to focus on homeland defense. But really, everything he does seems to be predicated on alignment with anti-progressive political objectives, anti-liberal political objectives. And that's resulting in this huge shift in the way the United States is addressing foreign policy. And I think the majority of even mainstream and older, I think that the analysts here in the West largely don't understand what is going on. They're still looking at things through this post-World War II rules-based international order lens, and they can't make sense of what the hell is going on. And it's a complete realignment. People on the MAGA side, largely, I think, who are becoming aware of it, are cheering for it because I think some people think this will lead to world peace somehow. And yet, the reality is, I think it's inevitable that if this continues, we will go to war. It will result in a world war because sovereign nations like Britain, France, all these other European countries in particular, do you think they're going to roll over and just give up their countries if it comes to that? No. We'll see what happens. Or even these Baltic states in particular, as we now see they may be targeted. We just saw Russian fighter jets in Estonian airspace. Oh, here, I'll just show you. This just actually came up in my feed, even as I'm sitting here. Look at this. You think I'm making it up? No, I'm not. This is fresh, hot off the digital press. Online. Breaking, according to Reuters, the Pentagon has informed European diplomats that the United States will partially halt military assistance to the Baltic nations and NATO member states bordering Russia. The department stated that the decision is linked to the United States' new priority, homeland defense, like I just said. So there it is. Believe it or not. This isn't Ripley's, but it is Ricky's. Ricky Walker's newscast. I used to have an illegal radio station I set up when I was a little kid. It's true. I called it radio station RWRS, Ricky Walker's radio station. I think I told the story a long time ago. I'll tell it again sometime. Not right now. I amuse myself with it. I don't know if other people find it entertaining. It was sort of illegal, but I didn't go to jail or anything, and I was just a kid. Sorry about that. Sorry for taking over the airwaves. Not. It was fun. I learned a lot. Anyway, let's take a break. We'll come right back. I'm not a pirate anymore. I learned my lesson. My dad got mad at me. I was reprimanded. I was scolded harshly. I will return.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
So yeah, the friction, the fighting, it all continues. It happened that there was a lot going on in Ottawa today too. 2 people arrested there for mischief. This pretty big protest. I think it was involving largely climate change activists, I believe. So the Ottawa Police Service say the 2 people were arrested for mischief. Yeah. So you had protesters from Ottawa and Gatineau. They went to the capital to call on the government to prioritize human rights and reverse course on planned cuts to jobs and public services. They called this the Draw the Line protest, and it brought climate justice, migrant justice, Indigenous justice, labor rights, anti-war, Palestine solidarity groups all together out on Wellington Street outside the Prime Minister's office. So they kind of blocked the street there for a while, I guess, with their protest. Don't know if they had a permit. And there were similar marches have been organized for cities and towns across the country, including Vancouver, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal, and Charlottetown. They marched from Parliament Hill to the U.S. Embassy and then to the Human Rights Monument on Elgin Street. Started out as a climate rally, they said, but then they realized they need to build a much larger coalition. So it's all about bringing people in. We're standing in solidarity with Palestine, people who are standing up for peace, they say. And this is a quote from Drew Jay, the executive director of the Council of Canadians, saying that they're standing up for peace in the face of a potential quadrupling of military spending. That would be the answer to Trump's call to increase the military budget and Canada's contribution to NATO. Fellow countries pushing for, 5%? So I have a little bit of video I can show you here. This is the CTV feed. We'll pick that up and just show you how the mainstream media is treating this protest. And of course, we're always hearing about the sort of the double standard for protests and why don't you arrest these people? What about these guys? Well, and then how's the mainstream media treating these folks? I think I lost my clip here, actually. No, here it is. Let me pull it over here so I don't lose it again. And on the screen, here we go. Let's listen in.
Natalie.
Kimberly, the Ottawa Police Service says 2 people were arrested for mischief following the protest. And there was also a large mural painted outside the Prime Minister's office that read, "People, Peace, Planet, Not Profit."
United will never be defeated. The people.
Liz Deacon and Carol Sulphur are seniors passionate about climate justice.
We want the federal government to work harder at some of these issues that need to be addressed and not just pay lip service.
The group, part of a large protest called Draw the Line that moved through the downtown streets of Ottawa on Saturday.
Here for, as they say on some of the posters, the people, peace and planet, and certainly all the combinations of the different groups that are represented here.
a rally against Prime Minister Mark Carney's government priorities ahead of the fall budget.
It started out as a climate rally, but we realized that we need to build a much larger coalition. So it's about bringing in people who are standing in solidarity with Palestine. It's about bringing in people who are standing up for peace in the face of a potential quadrupling of military spending.
The rally started outside the Prime Minister's office on Wellington Street before moving to the U.S. Embassy and the Human Rights Monument. Speakers set up as the crowd cheered on.
The public sector
Similar marches were held across the country in Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, and Edmonton.
It's about cuts to public services and opposing the austerity agenda that's been announced. And it's about migrant justice. So the idea is to build a coalition of all the groups working on those different issues.
Protesters also painted a large mural in front of the Prime Minister's office that read "People, Peace, Planet, Not Profit." Organizers said the paint is washable.
We started out at Mark Carney's office. He's announced billions in cuts to the public sector while announcing the quadrupling of military spending, while continuing to ship arms that end up contributing to the assault on Gaza.
Police said 2 people were arrested for mischief in connection to the painting. Wellington Street was closed for the cleanup.
So be careful about using chalk on the sidewalk. You might be arrested for mischief, or whatever they used, watercolor paint, something that's washable. Even then, they might get you on a mischief charge, and you've seen where that can go. Frozen bank accounts, thrown in jail. It's an all-encompassing, multi-purpose tool. It's like a multi-tool, you know. Just keep it in your pocket if you're a cop and just whip that mischief charge out. And it's a one-size-fits-all, multi-pronged attack tool for law enforcement. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Huge range in what you might end up being, what you might face in terms of penalty at the end, too. So, yeah, mischief. So, yeah, I'm just looking here, too. Trump designates Antifa movement as a terrorist organization. Here's the University of Ottawa. They have at least one professor over there able to comment on this. Where did it go? No, it's right here. Is this it? No. I'll show you. Bear with me. Many things to click to get one thing on the screen. There it is. Professor Charles Etienne Baudry, an expert in political science and public administration, says from the University of Ottawa, the term Antifa is vague enough to allow for large-scale repression of any anti-Trump social movement. We already have a glimpse of the extent of the Trumpist approach with the pressure exerted on ABC through the Federal Communications Commission to take Jimmy Kimmel's late night show off the air. There is only one appropriate stance in these circumstances, and that is to promote the easing of social tensions in the United States as well as here in Canada. We must remember the importance of nonviolence in political conflict in a democracy. This does not mean that we should stop criticizing the Trump administration's actions and its divisive rhetoric, which is fanning the flames of these tensions. As the saying goes, the pen is mightier than the sword. Now, since Trump came out with that statement and said that he plans to designate Antifa a terrorist organization, I have seen some political activists in this country on the right also issue statements saying that the Carney government, the Canadian government, should do the same, lest Canada be viewed as a potential terror threat to the United States. And then what did we see just this past week with Kash Patel in the in those hearings, the Oversight Committee? He said that Canada, the border is so large, it's difficult, if not impossible, to actually close right down. And there is an increasing threat, and I'm paraphrasing, an increasing threat of terrorists coming into the United States from Canada. Again, my view on that is that that is probably being used as a pretext for, or a setup for future political or worse kind of action against Canada from the Trump administration. So keep your eyes open for that. Somebody else who has been extremely critical of the Trump administration, Charlie Angus, who now is not only a regular guest on, what's that network in the States? The Midas Touch Network, which is sort of I would say it's a I don't know if it's a Democrat, but it's, I don't know if left wing isn't the right word. I don't know what it is. It's progressive, liberal, kind of, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, he's been a guest tonight. Now they've launched, and it's been very hugely successful in the States. Now Charlie Angus has launched the Canadian version of that. What are they calling it here? Midas Canada. Oh, there's something original. Here he is commenting on the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. That's the issue for him over there today, too. So I thought we would tune in there briefly to get a clip from Charlie Angus, former New Democrat member of Parliament. Here he is on his new network, Midas Canada.
They used the excuse of the Charlie Kirk shooting, and I've already spoken about the creation of Charlie Kirk as this martyr for Maga to be able to use to go after their political enemies. But the fact that the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, completely overstepped his role as a public official to issue what was essentially a mafia-style threat against ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel. He said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And voila, ABC folded like a cheap suit.
Hang on. He's making
is that the fascist power in the U.S. is getting so confident that they can go after the major networks and have people fired. If they can take down Jimmy Kimmel, they can take down anybody. That's the message. That is the fascist playbook in its most essential form. You know, when Hitler burnt the books, they didn't go to some obscure school. They went right in the center of Berlin, right in the center of the cultural heart of the nation. A nation that at that time was the academic leader of the world. That's where they burned the books to send a message. And we see how Trump has gone after the Smithsonian Institute, and they crumbled. How he's gone after university after university, not small colleges. He's gone after the Ivy Leagues, because if they can be made to kiss the ring, then what standards are there for anyone else? And the fact that someone as popular as Jimmy Kimmel can be fired because Donald Trump doesn't like him is about sending a message. I'm thinking about how fast it all happened. You know, the only thing that I could think in my life was the sudden collapse of the Berlin Wall. I mean, we'd grown up, my generation, in the shadow of the Iron Curtain. We thought that this monolith would never fall except by possible nuclear war. And then over the space of about 9 months in 1989, there was incident after incident that led to the crumbling of that seemingly impenetrable wall. You know, when Estonia announced that they were going to have domestic laws that superseded Soviet laws in June 1989, when Solidarity ran in the first open election and defeated the Communist Party in Poland, that same month, when Hungary brought down the Iron Curtain by allowing open passage to Austria in East Germany at that time. The people who were meeting, one of the groups was called the Church from Below, the punk rock anarchists, the peaceniks, the church activists who began going out in the streets and holding public rallies. Not too many people came out initially, and the Stasi came after them, beat them up, but then parents started coming out, grandparents and workers started coming out, and more and more and more people came. By October 9th, there were over 70,000 people in October 9th, 1989, marched in Leipzig. A week later, the numbers were at 120,000, then 300,000. And then the whole power of a nonviolent movement brought that wall down. As we look back, we realize that the rot had been there in the Soviet institutions for a long time, just as we know that the rot of rage and red state versus blue state and politics that are being played out in the United States has been steadily rotting the American democratic project. And so maybe it's just coming down now with what seems with incredible speed. But if we look back, maybe it's all going to make sense. But there's a thing that really strikes me. You know, we look at the collapse of empires, and this is the end of the American century that led the world for 80 plus years on the global stage. The American century that was about democracy and open markets, it's gone. What we're seeing now, of course, is the rise of the gangster ideologies of Putin, turf battles with China. But normally, civilizations collapse from a number of series of issues. External invasion by a superior force. Plague, as in the Justinian plague that really damaged the remaining parts of the Roman Empire. Environmental collapse, we have seen serious drought, famine. Or the people rise up against the oligarch and the upper class because of the inequity. This is the first time that an empire collapse happens because the oligarchs go after the people. What we're seeing with Trump is this full-on war on the working class, on people's rights, on the arbitrary detention and kidnapping and pulling people out of places of work. It is the oligarch class attacking the people that has led to this collapse. So where do we go from here? Well, who knows? But if you look at the fascist playbook, it doesn't look good unless we start resisting. I think the issue of Jimmy Kimmel is that he becomes a perfect symbol. You know, a funny guy, a TV guy, someone who's a personality much more than a political figure who becomes a threat to the system by just even poking it. What it tells me is that words now really matter. We've been living in a world of slogans for too long, but words suddenly matter again. People's ideas matter. This is why in Alberta, Maga Premier Daniel Smith was going after books like The Handmaid's Tale in 1984. Words matter. Taking a stand matters. You know, there's no going along to get along in this age right now. This is how we end up with people being put in cages. As I said, you know, the one principle of standing up to fascism is that there's no bystanders. You are an enabler or a resistor. But the other lesson that we're really learning right now is that you can't cede ground to them by being reasonable. You know, when I called out the Canadian Parliament for giving a standing ovation for the right of freedom of speech of Charlie Kirk, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I had some blowback. People thought that I was being mean to the government. And this woman wrote to me and said, this was really unfair. You know, the government was trying to build bridges. Well, here's another lesson you need to learn about fascism. If you build a bridge.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is that we're hearing there's no more dialogue. Or very little. Both sides are saying, can't listen to those guys. They want to kill us, or you can't listen to them, or we can't talk to them. We've tried, but all the evil is over there. Both sides are saying that you're not going to get any kind of peaceful resolution if you stop talking to each other. And while both sides are saying that they've tried or that they're willing, I don't see any genuine effort in a serious way from either side in that regard at the moment. So I am not, well, I should say I'm worried. That's the word. Jay Leno asked about this. I miss Jay Leno. I really miss Johnny Carson. Late night talk shows back in those times. Just a little, well, they just weren't political the way they are now. But Jay Leno says that this really isn't anything new. I think it is new in the way that it's happening. But, he's kind of on the money here. But you can see that he's sort of concerned too.
I'm on Jimmy Kimmel's side on that one.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything? Do you know?
No, I haven't heard anything. I know why people would contact me, but no, I haven't heard anything.
How's the playing field change, Jake?
What's that?
How's the playing field change?
Well, that remains to be seen, doesn't it? So we'll see. We'll see.
Could you have ever imagined something like this happening when you were on the air?
Yeah, these kind of things happen all the time. But, you don't get canceled saying popular things. You get canceled, sometimes, usually it's the truth that winds up getting canceled. So we'll see what happens.
So Leno says that he's on Jimmy Kimmel's side. See where it goes. Just checking Trump's feed here on Truth Social. You have to check it because the guy has so much power. Unitary executive control. Here's his Truth Social feed today. Let's do the Donald Trump scroll. He still has that video up of the third Venezuelan boat that they blew out of the water. I see they also boarded another vessel and took some people into custody, I believe. What else? But that was from a day ago. And he's talking here about Adam Schiff. Justice must be served now regarding what? That looks like an ad. Yeah. Just toured Washington, D.C., and it's a totally different place than it was last year. No tents, manicured grass and parks, clean streets, no gangs or vicious criminals. The place is beautiful and safe, and it is going to remain that way. What a difference good government makes. Go to D.C. and enjoy history being made. President DJT. Yeah, you've got soldiers on the streets. You've imposed kind of a form of martial law at the nation's capital. I'm not sure what that says about your country, pal. And I see all these 51st staters who want to join the U.S. Not right now. No thanks. They've got problems. We've got ours too. Okay. Nothing, strangely, too dramatic on the Trump social feed tonight over on Truth Social. What else do we have? It's just Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk. And all kinds of protests, clashes. Here are people clashing with ICE. This is in Illinois, Broadview. Looks like a clergyman wearing a clerical collar approached this building and was shot repeatedly with sting ball rounds. We've seen them shooting these protesters there with sting balls. I saw an older lady just like pummeled, pushed around, manhandled, shot with those sting balls, arrested. Saw that overnight. These are people trying to kind of obstruct the ICE agents as they go to and from the building.
Ooh, that one hurt. You're
This is gonna look really good in your fucking court case.
We gotta get your eyes right. Hey, we gotta get your eyes right so you can come back. Hey, we gotta get you right so you can come back. We can bring you back in 5 minutes.
Pathetic.
We gotta get you right so you can come back.
You're pathetic.
I already went to the hospital once.
Your country is ashamed of you.
Thank you.
God is watching you. God is watching you. God is watching you. God is watching you. God is watching you. And you will pay for this.
Come to the sidewalk because they're gonna keep shooting him. I'm telling you, he watched this guy.
Le dieron la cabeza.
Off the side, off the side. Get hit the top of his head.
And the protests continue. Not looking good, folks. All you have to do is just scroll down Twitter, and it's just full of this stuff. What a cesspool. Let's do that. Let's take a look. Straight up Twitter scroll. X. Charlie Sheen doesn't think actors should talk politics, but did indicate his views on Trump altered when he decided to go back to doing his own research. I knew it was time to change the channel, and I changed the channel, and I found you guys, Rob Schmidt. Okay.
To ask,
over on
how on earth
Newsmax
did I end up in this book? I'm going to list some names of people I know well and a few I do not, even though we've never met. Their presence on my television throughout the entire process created a different type of support to get me through a calendar year of sleepless nights. The Wrens, Todd C., Jim Day, the lovely Jules S., a solid dude named Greg.
Boom.
And 2 awesome Robs, and in the parenthesis, let's check it out.
Yeah. I
explain.
Well, I knew there'd be no confusion with the let's check it out. It's such a badass way to kick off your show every night. Let's check it out. You know, it's not let's get after it. That feels aggressive and weird. That's just like, hey, I knew I couldn't write this book feeling how I felt during the first Trump administration, right? And so I decided that you know, I was going to go back to you know, doing my own research, something I have relied on my entire life, you know, and just when I'm curious about something, I do my own research. And I started looking at it like if I was on a jury, and I left the courtroom every time the defense presented a new witness or cross-examined someone or presented new evidence, right? And I left the jury every time and came back and then thought I still had a right to weigh in on a verdict, right? So I couldn't, because I wouldn't have the full story of that case, right?
Right.
So I knew it was time to change the channel. And I changed the channel, and I found you guys. Yeah, and the nights I did go to bed, which was every night, I went to bed in a much better mood, feeling a lot better about the state of things. That's how that wound up in there. Yeah. No,
that's wild.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
No.
If you would have told me when I was a kid watching Wall Street, which I loved, watching Major League,
thank you,
that someday Charlie Sheen was going to watch my show, I would have never believed it.
And here we are.
And here we are.
And here we are. Amazing.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
What else do we have on the X feed? Oh, David Letterman on the Kimmel thing. Let's listen to David Letterman.
My good friend Jimmy Kimmel, I feel bad about this because we all see where this is going, correct? It's managed media, and it's no good. It's silly. It's ridiculous, and you can't go around firing somebody because you're fearful or trying to suck up to an authoritarian criminal administration in the Oval Office. That's just not how this works. My good.
And here's Jesse Waters saying Jimmy Kimmel is lawyering up and is going to war with Mickey Mouse. That'd be ABC, Disney. Kimmel brought his attorneys to a secret powwow, he says, with ABC executives. Kimmel can make it right by saying, I'm sorry, is what Jesse Waters is saying here. But ABC is looking for a reason to cut his failing show loose. These are Jesse Waters' words in his post. Here, we'll show you. Here it is.
Jimmy Kimmel's at war with Mickey Mouse, and he's lawyering up. Kimmel was spotted heading to his attorney's office last night in Hollywood, where he had a powwow with Disney executives. Jimmy's not happy because his old time slot is airing reruns of Celebrity Family Feud. He's refusing to apologize and wants to come out swinging and blast Charlie Kirk and Maga. A major protest was planned today outside of ABC studios here in New York City. Let's see what that looked like.
Bring back Jimmy! Bring back Jimmy! Bring back Jimmy! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Censorship has got to go! Hey, hey! Censorship has got to go!
11 million people in New York and a few dozen come out to defend Kimmel. The crowd was mostly retired women and laid-off writers. They're telling us this was the biggest free speech attack of the century, and only 30 people showed up. Does Congress care? Not a single person gave a floor speech about Kimmel today. Swalwell just handed out a bunch of hats to 6 people. Does the world care? Millions of people were touched by Charlie Kirk. There were massive vigils. The only person we could find was Irish Rosie, yelling about Jimmy at a local pub. The New York Post reported a bartender said she was necking down glasses of Smithwick's Red Ale, ranting about Kimmel getting the boot. The only other people who care are his late-night colleagues, and they're all taking this really seriously. Kind of.
Welcome, one and all, to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. But tonight, we are all Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, a lot of people are worried that we won't keep saying what we want to say or that we'll be censored.
We have another fun, hilarious, administration-compliant show.
I just want to say before we get started here that I've always admired and respected Mr. Trump.
We are all Jimmy Kimmel? What does that mean? We've all lost our company money, started a boycott, and got suspended by our boss for refusing to apologize? We are all not Jimmy Kimmel. People get suspended all the time. People lose their jobs all the time for refusing to get vaxxed, when migrants take their jobs, or when presidents kill pipelines or send their jobs to China, or when politicians defund the police. Kimmel's got 4 homes. He just bought an $8 million beach house, and he's on paid leave. All he has to do to get his little show back is say, I'm sorry, I lied. I was wrong. I've said it. And if you don't want to say you're sorry because you don't mean it, then you don't get it. Maybe you shouldn't come back. When Paul Pelosi got hit in the head with a hammer, some guys got the story wrong. But here's what Jimmy said then.
How can we move so quickly to smearing these people? I am a Catholic. I grew up in the church. What I was taught was that if you do something wrong, you ask for forgiveness, and you are forgiven for these things.
Kimmel said it. If you're wrong, ask for forgiveness. And he can't do it. And Kimmel shouldn't have been wrong. Everybody knew the assassin was a leftist. That's why Kimmel has producers.
We say a lot of things on this show. We don't make up lies. In fact, we have a team of people who work very hard to sift through facts and reputable sources before I make a joke. And that's an important distinction.
You know what? I would say the investigation is still ongoing. We don't really know what was in Tyler Robinson's head. Some people would say that he might have been set up. I see all kinds of conspiracy theories that seem to hold even some water, Jesse. So I think the jury is still out. He has not been proven guilty in a court of law, let alone do we know for sure what his political leanings may or may not be, or may or may not have been at the moment that he allegedly pulled the trigger. Just because he's alleged to be living or was living with a transgender male that we are told he was in a romantic relationship with. I think even that, has not been fully investigated or reported at this point. So I think there is still a lot more information to come out in this case. And I wouldn't say that just because he was maybe in a relationship with a transgender person that he wasn't a MAGA supporter. I hadn't even really intended to kind of bring it around full circle, but because I didn't even plan on running that Jesse Waters clip tonight, I'm just scrolling through the X feed. Up he pops, then he says that, but that's what we're hearing a lot of anyway. Both sides from the very beginning have been trying to, if you're on the conservative MAGA whatever side, you're like, oh no, he's a leftist. He's absolutely a leftist. If you're on the other side, if you're on the progressive side, oh no, he's a MAGA supporter. His family has a history of supporting Trump and Republicans, and that's his whole upbringing. I don't know what the truth is. The strangest thing about all, I mean, you don't know. Look, even in the Canadian freedom movement, right? What have we seen? We've seen, I just mentioned him, Barry Thongman, been on the program. I know a lot of other people as well who have been sort of freedom movement, MAGA people. In fact, let me see if I can find it here. Somebody who's been on the program, somebody who calls in sometimes, somebody who, I can find this very quickly, actually. Just because somebody's transgender doesn't mean they're not conservative or MAGA. Look, let me show you what I mean. Right here. Brian Howell.
Wishing you a fantastic Monday morning. Thanks for joining us. Right now, we'll be talking about Transgender Remembrance Day. The day is today. Please join me in welcoming from Kingston, Brian Howell. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Bill. How are you?
I'm very well. I did not know that we had a Transgender Remembrance Day. This is news to a lot of people. Explain the history of this.
It's been going for about, I think, 15 years here in Kingston, but it was first created maybe 20 years ago, maybe even 25 years ago in the United States, and it flowed up into Canada. And it's basically to honor or, remember, trans people who've been, murdered simply because of their gender identity and orientation.
So that's Brian Howell, who I'm sure many of you have heard on the program, maybe not aware of his activism, his political activism, but also was at the Freedom Convoy, is called in and was always been very supportive of the freedom movement. So I don't know where he sits right now politically. I think he's kind of shifted and maybe isn't so oriented toward Trump and MAGA, but I'm just saying that the populist movement is in many respects pretty dysfunctional because it is a broad tent bringing in people from some conflicting ideologies. where they're converging and trying to bring it all together. Now you're seeing a lot of that dysfunctionality play out even within the administration that Trump has put together. He's kind of the glue holding it all together, but I'm not sure that it's going to hold, especially with the RFK stuff and what's going on at the CDC. We'll see if RFK Jr. can hold on over there. We also have the Tim Pool weighing in on this, and we'll give him a little time here, give him a voice tonight. Weighing in on the whole Kimmel thing.
I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Here's the story from Mediaite. Kimmel was reportedly about to give controversial monologue when he was suspended. Quote, he has to take down the temperature. So there's been a couple different additions to this story. Yesterday, in the middle of the show, we learned that he was not planning on apologizing. Take a look at this. When asked by The Hollywood Reporter, the source said Kimmel was not planning on apologizing. He felt that what he said did not require an apology. Mediaite reports, according to CNN, which spoke to an unnamed source familiar with the situation, Kimmel was preparing to deliver a monologue on Wednesday evening, addressing the backlash he had received for another monologue that week about the murder of Charlie Kirk. The Wednesday monologue was described by CNN source as very hot and would have reportedly targeted President Trump's Maga base. Quote, if Jimmy went on the air, there would have been no way back from that monologue for Jimmy. We didn't want that. Everyone deeply values him and wants him to come back, but he has to take down the temperature. After publishing the source's quote Thursday, CNN stealth edited its article, removing the first half. This is crazy, right? Everyone deeply values him and wants him to come back, but he has to take down the temperature. The decision to suspend Kimmel's show was reportedly made by Disney CEO Bob Iger and Disney's co-chair Dana Walden in hopes of protecting Kimmel and the Disney brand from accelerating the controversy. The author of the article, CNN entertainment correspondent Elizabeth Wagmeister, previously suggested on Wednesday that it was unlikely Jimmy Kimmel Live would return to television anytime soon. So now we have a very clear picture. Jimmy Kimmel is not sorry. He does not want to apologize. In fact, he wanted to go further with it, and they described it as very hot. And let's just say it. The executives at Disney were scared he was going to inflame tensions. And you know what I think? I said this yesterday, that these executives, the reason why they're basically shutting down these employees that are praising the death of Charlie Kirk, calling for more or fanning the flames, is they're probably thinking they're next. Nobody wants to be in the crosshairs. And if you're a media executive at a time when you've got two sides blaming the media, they're...
Oops. Okay. I lost the feed there, but that's okay. You've got the gist, saying kind of the same things that Jesse Hot Waters was saying. Kimmel should apologize, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's a view. There's another view out there where some people just don't believe any of it. And all you have to do is take, a scroll down X, and you'll see that some people just are not buying any of it. Because like any of these major events, attempted assassinations, like the shooting of Trump, I've been caught up in it too. Some people say it's all fake. It's not real. Just take a look. Some people believe that Charlie Kirk is still alive. I mean, that stuff's out there. I'm not saying that's true. I'm not saying one way or the other. You can make up your own mind. But that stuff is definitely out there. And some people are like, I don't know. Maybe. I think it's unfortunate that we live in a time where these conspiracy theories take us to a place where we generally sometimes never really end up knowing the truth. Because all that has to be done is to cast doubt. Just cast doubt. And the next thing you know, you don't know what's true and what isn't, what's real and what's fake. Which brings me to something I want to share with you tonight. If I can get the computer to work. Here we go. Just gotta bring this up. I'm going to leave you with a new song tonight, a second new song. That's two tonight. First song was not sad enough because there's so much pressure on everyone to just be sad about Charlie Kirk because it's politicized. And in no way am I minimizing the tragedy of Charlie Kirk's death. Horrific. I don't really have anything against Charlie Kirk. Never really did. And I'm against all political violence, as you know. But I don't like censorship from any side of the political spectrum. Don't like what's going on. Don't like what Trump is doing with regard to this and the administration. I don't like seeing anybody lose their job, whether it's Jimmy Kimmel or a reporter or anybody else, even if I disagree with them, even if they're on the opposite side of the political spectrum. And certainly if they're on the same side of the political spectrum. It has been done to people on the conservative MAGA side. It was done to me. I've been banned off YouTube. I don't like it. I don't like being banned off Facebook. I don't like losing channels. I don't like any of that. I don't like the cancel culture. So I'm going to call it out, whether it's over there or over there. Wherever it comes from, I'm opposed to that. Don't like it. I do understand limits, but at the same time, I see, as David Letterman said, we see where this is going. It's very concerning. We've already seen books burned. We just saw, what's her name? Valentina Gomez, U.S. politician, take a flamethrower to a Quran. If that isn't inflaming things, I don't know what is. Now we're seeing, inevitably, it started right away, as it always does with all of these things, the conspiracy theories surrounding the Charlie Kirk assassination. Believe what you will. And with that, I'll leave you with this tonight, this newest song from Maverick and the News Brothers. It's all fake. See you back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on The Flip Side.
Biden's about, Charlie's alive. Elvis flips burgers on the Lower East Side. 10 Trumps mask up on your phone. Shilling mean coins by remote drone. Graphene needles in your veins. Chemtrail sugar fries your brain. George Floyd's American hologram pie. Don't trust your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake. The moon is a hoax. Give your head a shake. It's all fake. It's all fake. Your mama's a lizard. Your daddy's a snake. Bigfoot codes, the Mossad plan. Flat Earth truckers fighting the man. Dinosaurs guard an empty fed vault. Truth is dead and it's the media's fault. Conspiracies are real, let it sink in. Time travel, JFK is president again. 9/11's a VR game. The elite cut deals in the devil's name. It's all fake. It's all fake. From the jab to the pills that you take. It's all fake. It's all fake.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.